Every morning, the man grabbed his gun and lunchbox, said goodbye to his beloved son, and drove off to work. But just as he reached the edge of the village, a sudden explosion tore him apart. The culprit, a drone, flying over 10,000 meters above, controlled from tens of thousands of miles away. At Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, the drone operator, Victor, always felt drained and somber after each mission. To unwind, he hit the biggest casino in Las Vegas during his leave and, to his surprise, walked away with a fat stack of cash. Back at the base, Victor got gut-punching news. The intel team had misidentified a target. The man he'd killed was just an ordinary civilian. Victor was stunned. He'd watched this man for weeks, a guy with a young son and an elderly father. "I was just following orders," he told himself, but his heart couldn't stomach it. He started questioning the morality of drone strikes altogether. His teammates brushed it off. Better to take out 1,000 than let one slip through. Who knows when someone might blow up a Marine convoy. But Victor couldn't shake it. On his next 10-day leave, he flew to Turkey, shelled out big bucks to rent a car, and drove to a small town in Syria, the place he'd once monitored from a screen. He found the home of the man he'd accidentally killed. Determined to face the consequences, he knocked on the door. The street looked exactly as it had through his drone's lens. An old man, the victim's father, answered. Choking with guilt, Victor said, "I killed your son." Language barriers made it impossible to communicate clearly. He tried gestures, but the old man just invited him in and boiled water for tea. Seeing the man's photo on a table hit Victor like a punch to the gut. When the old man brought the tea and sat across from him, Victor pulled out money, but the man waved it off, refusing payment for the tea. Just then, the man's young son came in, spotted Victor, and darted outside. Moments later, the boy returned with 3 boxes of local eggs to sell. Victor emptied his wallet, buying the eggs as a small way to help the family. He took a sip of tea and murmured, "I'm sorry." He wasn't sure if the old man understood, but it felt like a step toward atoning for a mistake that wasn't truly his. Back at the base, during a routine surveillance mission, something caught Victor's eye. A woman and her 2 kids were running in panic down a road. A car chasing them carried a military suspect. Victor's team kept watching. His colleague grew uneasy as the car kidnapped the woman, fearing something horrific was about to unfold. The suspect dragged 2 girls onto the vehicle, shot their companion dead, and pulled the woman aside, clearly intending to assault her. From thousands of miles away, Victor and his team burned with rage. They wanted to act. The woman fought back, clawing the man's face and knocking him down before sprinting away. "Sir, we've got the target locked." His commander ordered him to stand down. But as the woman stumbled, about to be caught again by that monster, Victor pressed the button. Despite disobeying orders, Victor faced no punishment. In fact, he was commended. The woman he saved turned out to be the wife of a terrorist leader, a key figure the intelligence agency had been hunting. In Washington, D.C., a man started his day paddling a kayak on the Potomac River before biking to work. But something always went wrong on his commute. "Watch where you're going, idiot." Still, he made it to the CIA on time. His job was fascinating, analyzing financial transactions in the Middle East, sniffing out anything suspicious to stop terrorists from funding their operations. Soon after, his new boss, James, the same guy who'd nearly caused a crash that morning, called a meeting. James was tough, throwing out tricky questions just to trip up his team. It was clear he'd be a pain to work with. The man bit his tongue and carried on. After months of tracking a shady account, he finally spotted a red flag. He urged James to freeze it immediately, convinced the person behind it was a major player, maybe second only to bin Laden. James brushed him off, unwilling to let terrorists get away with it. He turned to a charming colleague in the finance department. A few compliments later, she agreed to freeze the account without asking for approval. James caught wind of it, and a heated argument erupted. Luckily, the deed was done. Halfway across the world, in a bustling street, a bank executive and a high-profile client met at a noisy cafe. CIA operatives, working with local police, had them in their sights and quietly moved in. A sniper set up in an apartment building, rifle at the ready. Another agent, posing as a writer, used a pen rigged with a listening device, but the street was too loud to hear anything, and pedestrians blocked the sniper's view. Before long, the bank executive and his group left. The police tailed them closely. In a quiet alley, an agent stopped the group, pretending to ask for directions. 2 stun batons flashed from behind, and just like that, the targets were apprehended. Back in Washington, Jack Ryan was at a friend's birthday party, hitting it off with a beautiful woman he'd just met. Suddenly, a United States Coast Guard helicopter landed nearby. 2 Special Forces soldiers hopped out, shouted Ryan, and rushed toward him. Confused, Ryan barely had time to react as they whisked him away, leaving the party stunned. It turned out the owner of the account he'd been tracking had been nabbed in Yemen. Since Ryan knew the case better than anyone, he was sent to assist with the interrogation. "I'm not an interrogator, I write reports, get on the damn plane." Ryan was flown to a secret prison in Yemen's Salawat Mountains. This black site was run by intelligence agencies from 8 countries, including the United States, to detain and question high-valued terror suspects. 2 Middle Eastern men arrested in Yemen were being held there. Stepping into the heavily guarded facility for the first time, Ryan couldn't help but feel a chill at the grim surroundings. United States law bans secret prisons isolated from the world, which is why the CIA sets them up overseas. Ryan met 2 new detainees. A sharply dressed man, the main suspect, and his bodyguard. Ryan dialed the number tied to the account he'd been tracking. To everyone's surprise, a phone buzzed in the suspect's pocket. That alone saved hours of questioning. The man in the suit was whisked to a separate room, but after hours of interrogation, he gave nothing up, insisting he was innocent. The translator was fed up, and Ryan stepped outside to clear his head. Then it hit him, why not try the bodyguard? Guards uncuffed the man and secured him to a table. Ryan brought food and water, taking a bite first to ease suspicion. When the bodyguard hesitated, Ryan swapped plates and kept eating. Finally, the guy let his guard down, chugging water and tearing into the bread. Knowing he spoke English, Ryan struck up a conversation, noticing scars crisscrossing the man's hands. Outside, locals arrived with the bodies of American soldiers killed in a bombing. The CIA often paid top dollar to recover remains, sending them to the morgue for DNA tests to confirm identities for grieving families. But as a guard flipped off the power and left, one corpse peeled back the sheet and ripped off a lifelike mask. He wasn't American. Calmly, he checked the body beside him, reached into a long gash in its stomach, and pulled out a package. Unfazed, he assembled a gun and hid in the morgue, waiting for his moment. At the prison gate, a truck rolled up. The driver was a familiar face who delivered bodies before, so the guards barely blinked. Then the truck gunned it, barreling toward the gate. Realizing something was wrong, the guards opened fire. The truck veered, crashing near the gate. The driver died in a hail of bullets, but his job was done. A bomb on the truck exploded, obliterating the entrance. The blast shook the entire prison. Agents in the interrogation room snapped to high alert. A Middle Eastern man outside fired a rocket launcher at a guard post, kicking off a full-scale ambush. CIA operatives rushed to respond, leaving Ryan behind. Spotting him, James barked, "Get back to the interrogation room and wait." Ryan had no choice but to obey. Outside, the attackers overwhelmed the CIA's defenses, inflicting heavy casualties. The man posing as a corpse slipped inside through a back door, dropping a guard with a single shot. He signaled another figure to lead him to the new detainees. When he saw the man in the suit, he fired without hesitation.
No, the other one.
The firefight outside raged on. A generator took a hit, and the lights in the interrogation room flickered wildly. Ryan's nerves were shot, but the bodyguard, still cuffed, seemed eerily calm. Hearing footsteps outside, Ryan dove behind the door. Run! Ryan slammed the door, ripped the gun from the intruder's hand, and tossed it aside. They lunged at each other. Unarmed, Ryan was at a disadvantage against a trained operative. The guy grabbed a knife from a dead guard's belt, slashing Ryan's stomach and pressing the blade to his throat. Luckily, Ryan's daily workouts, he seized the guy's head, smashed it against the wall. The bodyguard tackled Ryan, helping the intruder pin him to the ground. Still, Ryan was a pro. He broke free, backing up to grab a grenade. The intruder snatched a gun.
I drop this and we all die.
Holding up the grenade's pin. Both sides froze, neither daring to act. Ryan had narrowly escaped death. As they parted, the bodyguard smirked.
I thought you were an analyst. I thought you were a bodyguard.
Then it clicked.
It's you, Suleiman.
The man was Suleiman, the terrorist mastermind the CIA was hunting. But it was too late. Suleiman was whisked away. Outside, bullets flew, and smoke choked the air. Suleiman grabbed a rope tossed from beyond the walls and vanished. Seeing their leader freed, the attackers retreated. In a getaway car, 2 brothers embraced, overcome with emotion. No one is born a terrorist. They were once innocent kids, but fate had other plans. In 1983, French airstrikes on Lebanon's Bekaa Valley killed their entire family. The brothers survived only because they were out of the house, saving his younger brother from a burning beam. The elder's hands were scarred for life. Later, a French family adopted them, giving them an education. Suleiman excelled, a passionate young man brimming with hope, but his Middle Eastern heritage marked him. Despite a finance degree, he faced constant rejection in France's smug job market, relegated to waiting tables. His younger brother, Ali, a few years his junior, loved art and rebelled against hardship. One day, Ali showed up with a gun. Suleiman was uneasy, and his worst fears came true. Cops spotted them. Ali, high on weed, panicked and ditched his joint, drawing attention. During the search, Suleiman clashed with the police to protect his brother. The gun hit the ground. He told Ali to run, taking the fall himself. In prison, Ali visited, expecting a broken man. Instead, Suleiman was energized, radicalized by those around him. Orphaned young, he'd never known family, but in jail, Islam gave him belonging and purpose, a new path. He promised Ali that after his release, they'd build a new world. That vow set them on a dark, irreversible road. Back in the United States, Ryan returned to CIA headquarters. The CIA and Europe's Counter-Terrorism Center held an emergency meeting. They knew little about the group that hit the prison. Some pegged Suleiman as part of traditional Islamic terror networks. Ryan disagreed. Those groups fund themselves through oil smuggling in Iraq and Syria. He argued, Suleiman's operation is far more sophisticated. Suleiman wasn't like other terrorists. He funneled money through fake bank accounts frozen online, leaving no trace for the CIA to follow. His methods were slick, almost invisible. His group's next moves were even harder to predict. To catch this infamous mastermind, the CIA's Financial Crimes Unit had to team up with Europe's Counter-Terrorism Center. Meanwhile, halfway across the globe in the Gulf of Aden, Suleiman and Ali shared a heartfelt goodbye. Suleiman sent Ali to Paris on a critical mission. Ali, the daring younger brother who'd risked his life to free Suleiman from a United States prison, now headed to France alone to secure funds for their organization. Back in Syria, Suleiman was rallying fighters, expanding their reach. Weapons, ammo, and an upcoming attack all demanded cash. In Paris, Ali met a contact, buying a bag stuffed with burner SIM cards, their secret pipeline for moving stolen money. At CIA headquarters, James pushed Ryan to unlock Suleiman's phone, packed with the group's classified secrets. It didn't use obvious passwords like 6 zeros or a birthday. Ryan tried everything, but one wrong move could trigger a data wipe. James noticed how deftly Suleiman had swapped a rope for handcuffs in prison, too smooth for a first-timer, yet the CIA had no record of him. Ryan recalled that Suleiman's SIM was registered in France. Digging into French prison records, he uncovered Suleiman's real identity. Ryan typed in Suleiman's inmate number as the password. People pick codes that mean something to them. It worked. The phone unlocked. James gave Ryan a nod. The CIA traced the numbers Suleiman's phone frequently contacted, zeroing in on a Paris apartment complex they suspected was the group's hideout. With clearance from above, Ryan and James jetted to France. In no time, they linked up with local police. A tough female captain led them to a Muslim neighborhood to set up the raid. Inside the apartment, Ali and his crew were using fake SIMs to open bank accounts, scrambling to replace the $9.5 million the CIA had frozen. But Ali was always a step ahead. He posted a lookout, a kid in the hallway who texted an alert the second cops showed up. Mid-call with Suleiman, Ali ordered an evacuation. They grabbed their gear, pulling guns stashed around the apartment. Ali revealed their heaviest weapon. The group froze, stunned, until a woman volunteered to carry it. As the SWAT team breached the door, a barrage of gunfire from inside dropped 2 officers. The terrorists fought like cornered animals. Ali took a bullet to the gut but was shielded by his team, who helped him leap through a window to the floor below, blending into the crowd outside. Ryan, helping a wounded cop, spotted blood on a stair railing. Ryan ditched the cop and gave chase, but Ali melted into the sea of people. Gun drawn, Ryan couldn't risk shooting into a crowd. Ali slipped away. Back at the apartment, the woman with the bomb was cornered. She raised her hands, pleading, but a shot took her down. The bomb's trigger flipped, leaving French police with heavy casualties. Ryan returned to the wreckage, spotting a SIM card on the ground, proof of how they moved money. A cop handed over Suleiman's old journal from his time in France. In 23 months behind bars, only one visitor came: Ali Suleiman. They'd listed an address tied to another Muslim community hub in Paris. Sure enough, Ali, bleeding out, had fled there. His uncle, a former doctor from Lebanon, patched him up. While the uncle wasn't looking, Ali grabbed a video game disc, a covert way to contact Suleiman. Through it, Suleiman ordered him to eliminate anyone who'd seen him, leaving no loose ends. Gun in hand, Ali faced his uncle, the man who'd once saved him, but he couldn't pull the trigger. Meanwhile, police swept the Muslim quarter, flashing Ali's photo. A young boy tipped off James with the uncle's address. The team stormed the house, but Ali had already vanished. Ryan's sharp eyes caught a video game title on a computer screen in Ali's uncle's house. The kids there had never played it. Ali must have. The uncle, under pressure from the police captain, cracked, admitting Ali had taken his car and fled. Using the license plate, the cops tapped into the car's GPS. The captain wanted to send a team to intercept, but Ryan stopped her. From the game's chat history, he saw Ali was heading to meet someone important. To uncover the terrorists' next move, they couldn't spook him. They needed to play the long game and catch the bigger fish. The team hit the road, following the GPS to the snow-covered Alps. But they weren't there to sightsee. Night fell fast, and Ryan noticed their target had stopped moving. He radioed the trailing car to check a nearby ski resort. James reached a small cabin at the resort and found Ali's car, but no Ali. Fresh tire tracks nearby showed another vehicle had just left. Ali had switched rides. At a gas station, Ali stepped out of the restroom and spotted Ryan poking around his car. He drew his gun, ready to ambush. Just then, the captain burst from the convenience store, yelling. She fired back. The panicked clerk opened fire and got gunned down in the chaos. Ryan realized his gun was still in the car. He played a deadly game of cat and mouse with Ali, creeping around to the other side, sliding into the vehicle to grab his weapon, and returning fire, but Ali slipped away. Ryan checked the captain's wounds, calling for an ambulance, then followed Ali's blood trail to a warehouse. Out of ammo, Ali tried an ambush. They'd clashed in Yemen before. Now they faced off again in the Alps. Ali was no match for Ryan. He collapsed, despairing over his unfinished mission. Wanted him alive to spill the next target, but Ali faked reaching for a gun. Ryan fired, killing him. Gas station, Ryan found the captain hadn't made it. The ambulance was too late. The long game had backfired spectacularly. They didn't catch the fish and lost the bait. Crushed, Ryan returned to the United States. But soon, chilling news hit. Suleiman had pulled off something catastrophic. In a grand Paris cathedral, dignitaries gathered for a famous priest's funeral. A man bent down, pretending to tie his shoe, unzipped a bag, and lit up a phone screen. He did the same with a second bag, then a third, before sitting back calmly. As the crowd stood to recite prayers for the priest, the terrorist slipped out. At the door, they chained it shut, sent a text, and triggered gas bombs inside. White gas hissed from a bomb, spreading fast. People coughed violently, then realized the danger. Panic erupted as they rushed the doors, but the chains held tight. Choking on the poison, they fought in vain. One by one, all 306 inside died. The news hit like a tidal wave. A gas attack in a Paris cathedral killed 306. Suleiman posted a video claiming responsibility. At the CIA, Ryan was eaten up with guilt. If he hadn't shot Ali in the Alps, he might have gotten answers. Those innocent people might still be alive, but regrets wouldn't change a thing. Finding Suleiman was all that mattered now. The CIA convened an emergency meeting at headquarters. Leaders argued over getting involved. The Secretary of State said it was France's problem. Most victims were French. James shot back, "Don't forget our soldiers killed in Yemen and the 27 Americans in that church." Suleiman's targeting the entire West. Staring at a screen, Ryan spotted the game Ali used to contact Suleiman. An idea hit. Suleiman didn't know his brother was dead. They could pose as Ali, message him through the game, and trace him. With approval, French media leaked a fake story about Ali's arrest. In Syria, Musa bin Suleiman saw it, believing his brother was alive. At the CIA, the trap was set. Ryan logged into the game, typing in English, letting it auto-translate to French. Sure enough, Suleiman replied fast, posing as Ali. Ryan said he was wounded, begging for help, and sent a fake address. Suleiman dispatched 3 men to check it out. His aide, suspicious, tried tracing the IP. The CIA was ready, spoofing a French address. Suleiman sent his usual goodbye, waiting for a reply, likely a test. Ryan answered with a generic farewell, but it was off. Ali never talked like that. Suleiman smelled a rat. Brass ordered Ryan to shut it down, but he pushed on, mentioning their Yemen encounter. Suleiman, piecing it together, asked, "Is Ali dead?" Ryan came clean. Furious, Suleiman vowed to hunt him down. Ryan fired back, "I'll find Hannon first." Enraged, Suleiman yanked the connection. The CIA bigwigs grilled Ryan about Hannon. Hannon was Suleiman's wife. She'd noticed him bringing home men and weapons, figuring out his game. Wanting no part of it, she fled for her kids' safety. One night, she loaded up with gold jewelry, planning to escape with her 3 children. Her eldest son refused to leave his dad. Left with no choice, Hannon drove off with her 2 daughters. Their grueling journey led to a kidnapping. The One Victor's drone team had seen Hannon's uncle traveling with them, planned to kill the captor but got caught and shot. Hannon nearly met a worse fate, but at the critical moment, a drone missile saved her and her girls. They made it to a refugee camp in Turkey. Seeing news of the Paris attack and Suleiman's video, Hannon doubled down on her resolve to break free. She approached the Americans, asking for protection and revealing the truth. She was the wife of the notorious terrorist Musa bin Suleiman. United States officials pressed Hannon on Suleiman's whereabouts, but her thoughts flashed to her son, still with her husband. Terrified, she bolted from the refugee camp. The intelligence officer working with her sensed something was off and relayed the news to the CIA. If they could find Hannon and her daughters first, they might leverage her to control Suleiman. Hannon tracked down a smuggler, trading all her gold jewelry for a shot at Europe. But as she and her girls climbed onto a grimy truck, the kidnapper from before reappeared. He'd survived the missile strike. Hannon's heart raced as they rattled toward a rest stop in the foul-smelling rig. At the stop, she hurried her daughters to a restroom, filthy, rundown, and creepy. Peering out cautiously, she spotted the kidnapper. He'd asked around and barged into the women's bathroom, shoving a bystander aside. Gun drawn, he cleared the place out, checking each stall. Hannon smashed a rock into his skull and shoved him into a latrine pit. She grabbed her girls and fled down a back road, pressing on with their desperate journey. Meanwhile, James and Ryan landed in Turkey. A camp intel officer told them Hannon had slipped into a smuggling route to Europe. Out of options, they tracked down a local gangster, shelling out $30,000 to get him to take them to the coast and intercept her. The guy chatted non-stop, but Ryan despised the sleazy thug. After a grueling trek, Hannon reached the shore. She and her daughters blended into a crowd of refugees, donning life vests, hoping to board a boat and leave this chaos behind. But the kidnapper hadn't given up. Spotting Hannon, he called Suleiman, who ordered him to bring the girls back at all costs. Across the beach, James and Ryan arrived. Ryan, tall and scanning the crowd, saw Hannon being dragged off. He drew his gun and closed in. The kidnapper aimed back, tension crackling. The thug they'd hired rushed to negotiate with the local kingpin. With his clout, the kingpin sided with them. After a heated back and forth, the kidnapper agreed to release Hannon but insisted on keeping the girls. Ryan knew without them, they'd have no hold over Suleiman. James told Ryan to lower his weapon. As the girls were pulled away, Ryan's gut churned. James fired, dropping the kidnapper. Their hired thug jumped in, smoothing things over with the kingpin, explaining the dead guy was a nobody, while they were the real players. The kingpin relented, letting Hannon and her daughters go. James had pulled it off, $30,000 well spent. At a United States airbase in Turkey, Ryan promised Hannon he'd do everything to reunite her with her son. In return, she gave them Suleiman's exact location. The terrorist mastermind, cunning and ruthless, had orchestrated the Paris gas attack, skyrocketing his infamy. He kept recruiting fighters, growing his network. A master at exploiting resources, he was planning an attack on America. Watching the news, he learned 12 doctors from an international aid group had vanished in Syria, their fate unknown. Multiple agencies pooled intel, finally tracking down the missing doctors. They paid a ransom to free them from another warlord. When asked what he needed, Dr. Daniel, the group's leader, requested food and medicine. Suleiman provided it all. At the same time, he absorbed another armed faction, swelling his organization's power. Step by step, he pushed toward his grand mission. But family was his only snag. His wife, Hannon, had betrayed him, fleeing with their daughters, gnawing at his focus. At CIA headquarters, using Hannon's tip, they pulled satellite images of Suleiman's stronghold. The fortress was locked down tight. In a high-level counter-terrorism meeting, most pushed for an airstrike. Ryan argued against it. Bombing would kill Suleiman but leave his network intact, costing them intel on future attacks. Back at their desks, James and Ryan got a report from Victor. Security footage showed Suleiman at a private airstrip in Azerbaijan 6 months ago, transporting a body from Liberia, claiming it was a relative for burial. The mention of a body jogged James's memory. The Army's Infectious Disease Institute had just held an emergency meeting with African counter-terrorism reps about a stolen Ebola-infected corpse. Ryan and James rushed to the institute. With help from Ryan's girlfriend, Dr. Kathy, they dug in. Kathy suspected Suleiman aimed to weaponize Ebola. Past outbreaks were limited by its transmission, but if they engineered it to spread through the air, the fallout would be unthinkable. Meanwhile, Hannon and her daughters were tucked away in a safe house, under watch. The Americans met their every need to keep her cooperating with the CIA's special Muslim spices, even the video game her eldest loved, easing their confined life. The older girl used the game to ping her little brother. He was thrilled to hear his mom and sisters were safe but froze when he heard his dad's footsteps, pretending to sleep. Suleiman caught his son sneaking on the game and saw the sister's message. He realized Ryan had Hannon at the CIA, confirming Suleiman was at the base. They greenlit a ground assault that night. Top brass stayed up, glued to live feeds. The strike team breached smoothly, but the place was eerily quiet. No ambush, no resistance. Suleiman's crew had slipped out through hidden tunnels long before. The team found only the 12 doctors, locked in a basement. Among them, 4 Americans returned home to a hero's welcome from the president. Dr. Daniel, the lead, was a Vietnam War buddy of President Pickett, making them close. Sifting through Suleiman's base files, James found a photo of Daniel and Pickett together. Suleiman had known about their bond. The rescue felt too easy. Watching news clips, James noticed Daniel coughing, looking rough. Ryan had a chilling epiphany. Suleiman wasn't building a bioweapon, the doctors themselves were the weapon. They scrambled an alert, ordering the president, cabinet, and anyone who'd met the doctors to Washington's Memorial Hospital for a 21-day quarantine and testing. The bioattack scare plunged Washington into chaos. Fear gripped the nation. Meanwhile, Suleiman, under a new alias and fake passport, landed in the United States with his son, claiming a medical visit. He was there for a critical mission. At Baltimore's port in Maryland, 2 figures in hazmat suits and gas masks hauled an iron chest from an olive oil container. Inside were 8 mysterious items. They inspected glass vials filled with green powder. One was cracked. Without hesitation, they tossed the bad vial aside. Days later, a Baltimore warehouse manager, checking inventory, found the vial and green powder on the floor. Curious, he sniffed it. That landed him in the hospital. He vomited uncontrollably, collapsed, and passed out. Doctors diagnosed severe radiation poisoning from cesium-137. Police traced the contamination back to the shipment. An emergency task force met to tackle the crisis. Ryan noted the missing crate was small, not enough for mass casualties. He recalled the Paris church attack. Suleiman killed a famous priest to lure VIPs to the funeral, then wiped them out. Was he pulling the same trick? If he targeted United States leaders, how did Ebola and cesium-137 connect? Ryan was stumped. That night, a man entered a pizza joint, ditched a bag under a table, and left. Outside, he made a call. The place blew sky high. James and Ryan raced to the scene. En route, they learned the blast came from basic plastic explosives, no cesium-137. This wasn't Suleiman's endgame. Ambulances flooded the area. Ryan spotted one lurking in an alley, slipping into the convoy. Seeing it head the other way, he realized the injured would go to Memorial Hospital in Washington, where top officials were quarantined. Turn around, he urged James. Suleiman was aiming for the hospital. Memorial Hospital was a madhouse, swamped with patients. 3 men wheeled in an injured person but skipped the heading straight to the morgue, claiming the patient was dead. In a surgery room, they killed the doctor, cut open 2 bodies, and carefully pulled out cesium-137 vials, rigging them into a bomb. James and Ryan reached the hospital, briefing cops on the stakes. The captain scrambled to evacuate the president and brass. Ryan tried calling his girlfriend, Dr. Kathy, to warn her, but his phone was dead. The CIA had jammed all signals to block remote detonation. Suleiman crept to the hospital's air vents. Giant fans roared. He planned to spread cesium-137 dust throughout, wiping out Western leaders. His team wired the bomb, linking it to the hospital system. An aide punched in a code. 1 tap from Suleiman, and it'd blow. They slipped out. The captain found Kathy, ordering her to clear the quarantine wing for officials. What about other patients and staff? Kathy asked. They wait, came the reply, refusing to prioritize VIPs. She hit the hospital's alarm. Lives weren't ranked. The siren spooked Suleiman's crew, scattering them. Suleiman stepped outside, tried calling to trigger the bomb, no signal. He started walking to try again. His son, waiting in a car, saw him and innocently hopped out, waving. A cop car nearby zeroed in on the Middle Eastern kid. The driver drew a gun and got shot dead. Suleiman, unable to blow his cover, signaled his son to play it cool. The boy nodded, watching his dad fade into the crowd. From a second-floor balcony, Ryan glimpsed Suleiman. He fired, missing from too far. Giving chase, he trailed him to a subway station. In a final showdown, Ryan shot Suleiman dead. The terrorist felt his great mission unfinished. Ryan, once a CIA desk jockey, became a frontline hero. Suleiman's son reunited with his mom and sisters. James said Ryan saved the kid's life, but Ryan felt heavy. He was now the enemy who killed 3 kids' dad. Years back, in the Marines, stationed in an Afghan village, Ryan befriended a local boy who'd snap his picture and sell it for $10. Ryan liked the kid. During a rescue op, the boy begged to escape that hellhole. Moved, Ryan got him on a chopper. But the kid was out for revenge. The plane blew up. Ryan, the sole survivor, carried the guilt his kindness cost his squad their lives. Yet he never considered that, without the plane, the boy would have found another way to strike America. A furious mob surrounds the United States Embassy in Venezuela, burning American flags, swinging bats, and hurling rocks while shouting, "Go home." Some torch cars belonging to Americans. On TV, President Nicholas delivers a fiery speech. "We won't let our nation be bullied by imperialist powers." Despite a corrupt government and inept leaders, Venezuela's poor and working class believe the United States' presence brings massacres, violates sovereignty, and insults their dignity. United, they rise up in protest. Citing political turmoil in the United States, Nicholas severs diplomatic ties, ordering all American diplomats out within 72 hours. The movie, inspired by real events, blends fact and fiction in its gripping plot. Still, the United States finds a way back in. Suspecting Venezuela is hiding weapons of mass destruction, Congress sends Senator Jamie to investigate a move that sparks tensions between the two nations. Ryan, a congressional aide handling Venezuela affairs, pores over intelligence and suspects Russia is supplying ballistic missiles or chemical weapons, stashed in a jungle near the capital, Caracas. He pushes for a covert probe, but the Speaker of the House shuts him down, insisting he and Jamie fly to Venezuela to confront President Nicholas directly about what he's buying from Russia. Ryan and Jamie land in Caracas. Guided by diplomat Lisa, they head to the presidential palace. Cutting to the chase, they show satellite images, demanding to know what the military's hauling into the jungle. Nicholas brushes off their accusations. Jamie doesn't hold back. "I need you to understand where the United States stands. If you're secretly buying Russian weapons, the consequences will be severe." Nicholas fires back, "Mind your own house." He kicks them out, tossing in a jab, "Don't think you can do whatever you want here just because your family's around." Jamie's convinced Nicholas's attitude proves he's hiding something. They can't let it slide. Meanwhile, a mystery man meets a lawyer to plan an assassination. Time, place, target all laid out. The hitman just needs one trustworthy insider on the security team. The lawyer, Monica, smirks. Building trust in Venezuela takes years, buying it takes seconds. That night, Jamie takes Ryan out to unwind. As they're about to leave a bar, someone calls them back. It's James, a CIA operative who worked undercover in Russia. Why's he here? Turns out, he's chasing the same lead as Ryan, a Venezuelan ship hauling weapons. Not long ago, that ship carried an unregistered satellite now operating in Venezuela. James wants to know who owns it and what it's for. Is it tied to the secret weapons they're both tracking? Back at the hotel, Ryan skips his room and heads to a cafe to meet a woman he'd flirted with at the bar. Business aside, they get to the point fast. Before leaving, she slips a listening device into his room. Ryan, clueless, crashes hard, dead to the world. What's her game? The next morning, a United States Embassy convoy rolls through Caracas, escorted by 2 police motorcycles. But when the bikes up front peel off, Captain Pelevin orders the driver to take a different route. They don't get far before the convoy's blocked in the middle of the street. Masked gunmen open fire on the United States Embassy convoy. Bodyguards return shots, dropping one attacker, but a timed bomb under the vehicle explodes. Lucky for Ryan, Jamie, and Lisa, they're in the lead car and survive. Though all 3 black out, Pelevin glances back and orders the driver to peel out. Ryan comes to, grasping the danger. He checks Jamie and Lisa both have minor cuts. The driver's out cold. Another guard rushes to pull the driver free but takes a bullet through the skull. Everyone's on edge. The threats still live. A sniper's holed up in a nearby building. Ryan slides into the driver's seat and floors it. The sniper grabs his rifle and gives chase. Ryan swerves to back out, but as they clear the alley, another vehicle slams into them. The car dies. With no choice, they bail and run. Ryan helps Lisa down the street. Jamie trails behind, then a shot rings out, hitting him. A second bullet finishes him off. The sniper aims to wipe them all out, but police sirens force him to bolt. Ryan's gutted. Jamie wasn't just a colleague, he was the guy who pulled Ryan through his darkest days after Afghanistan. Now, Jamie came to Venezuela with him and won't make it home. Back at his place, Pelevin hears his dog barking like crazy. He lets it loose and follows it to a room, where he finds his family slaughtered. Rage consumes him. The dog darts to another room, sniffing out the killer still lurking to tie up loose ends. Pelevin charges, but the assassin overpowers him. As the killer grabs a gun to finish it, the dog leaps, clamping onto his arm. Pelevin scrambles free, but the bastard stabs the dog dead. Desperate, Pelevin runs to the United States Embassy for help. He confesses he was bribed to steer the convoy into the ambush but swears he knew nothing about Jamie's hit. Ryan's gut screams Nicholas is behind it, but there's no proof. He refuses to fly back to the States, vowing to uncover the truth and expose Nicholas's weapon scheme. Good thing James is still around. They team up. Ryan zeroes in on the ship smuggling goods from Russia to Venezuela. He drives to the docks, swipes a cap and jacket when no one's looking, and sneaks aboard. Before he can dig up anything, a guy named Yost corners him, nearly blowing his cover. Right then, Harriet, the woman from the bar, shows up, smooth-talking Yost to back off. She reveals she's a private investigator, hired to find a missing weapons supplier, likely locked up by the Venezuelan government. Their goals align: take down Nicholas. They agree to share intel. To prove she's legit, Harriet hands Ryan a recorder. It's got the vice president trashing Nicholas, hinting he's hiding something big from the Americans. That seals it for Ryan. Nicholas orchestrated Jamie's murder. They plan to use the tape to sow chaos in Venezuela's government. Ryan slips it to Mateo, Nicholas's bodyguard, telling him to warn his boss to watch his inner circle. In a Venezuelan prison, two scapegoats are forced to confess to the embassy attack. Nicholas summons the United States delegation to the presidential palace, presenting his findings. Nicholas offers fake condolences for Jamie. Ryan locks eyes with him. I know you're a killer. Stepping out, Ryan grabs Mateo's hand and spots a wound. He flashes back to Pelevin's story. His dog bit the killer's hand, saving him. Is Mateo the assassin cleaning up loose ends? Ryan calls the CIA's station chief in Venezuela to double-check Pelevin's statement, only to learn Pelevin's been shanked in his cell. Ryan notices water pooling on the floor. He steps into the bathroom, bending to shut off the faucet when someone grabs him, shoving his head underwater. Ryan thrashes, breaks free, and slugs the attacker down. Before he can bolt, the guy yanks a plastic bag over Ryan's head, choking him. Ryan pulls a knife and stabs the guy's thigh. He jams the blade into the attacker's eye. That buys him enough time to escape, but the bastard slips away. The police captain's description paints a picture: Max, ex-German intelligence, now a pro hitman. Harriet comes clean. She lied to Ryan. She's a German agent, here to hunt Max and drag him home. Ryan's done with her games. Finding who hired Max is what matters now. Off Venezuela's coast, a boat drops from a plane. 4 mercenaries parachute down. The CIA's digging into claims Venezuela's hiding weapons of mass destruction. To the United States, any rogue nation messing with weapons of mass destruction is a threat, especially one just a 30-minute missile shot away. James and Ryan link up with the mercs, trekking deep into the jungle to scout a suspected weapons stash. James lays it out: gather intel, watch, report, nothing more. This is a covert op, in and out, no noise, but getting tangled in this mess means getting out clean is a pipe dream. Night falls. They reach the edge of the secret base. The team leader says their radios got trashed on landing, no comms. Each gets a laser pointer to signal if they split up. The leader leaves Xander to guard the boat, their only way out. The 5 slip into the base. While Venezuelan soldiers aren't looking, they creep to the containers. Ryan scans for radiation, nothing. Whatever's in there is weird, purpose unclear. The leader spots movement and hisses for them to move out. There's another container. We're done. Ryan won't quit. Grabbing bolt cutters, he darts to a random container, snaps the lock, and ducks inside. The crates are marked ammonium nitrate. He pries one open, recording video. A noise stops him cold. A guard, Yost, the guy from the ship, recognizes Ryan. No hiding now. Yost decks him. Before it's over, the team leader storms in, gun raised. Drop it. They tie Yost up. Ryan demands to know what Nicholas is hiding, but Yost stays silent. The leader wants to cap him and bounce. Ryan objects. He's unarmed. We don't do that. James, fed up, grabs pliers, snaps Jost's finger, and growls for answers.
F you.
James tosses the broken finger to Ryan. Want his name? Run DNA. They truss Yost up, leave him, and book it. Meanwhile, Xander hears rustling enemy closing in. He grabs his gun and melts into the bushes. Venezuelan troops find Yost tied up, cut him loose, and chase Ryan's team to the river. Bullets fly. Ryan's group barely escapes. The leader leaps onto the boat, yelling, "Xander, go!" No response. They have to pull out without him. Hiding in the brush, Xander watches the boat vanish, unable to call out, dodging patrols. The leader plans to drop Ryan off and double back for Xander. But this raid, zero proof Venezuela's got weapons. Back at the United States Embassy, Ryan pins every scrap of intel on a board. The embassy phone rings. CIA agent Mike picks up brass at the White House is ripping into the CIA director for stirring chaos in Venezuela. President Nicholas just announced he's cutting diplomatic ties with the United States. Ryan's got a breakthrough, the weird gear at the secret base, not weapons drilling equipment. Venezuela's hiding mining ops in the jungle. Digging up their own resources isn't illegal, but hiring foreign mercenaries raises red flags. DNA results on Yost come back. He's an international arms smuggler, wanted globally. The logo Ryan spotted at the base belongs to APURS, a London-based mercenary outfit supplying muscle to war zones worldwide. Most damning, the ammonium nitrate in the containers is used for mining explosives and matches the stuff that blew up Jamie's convoy. Ryan's sure APURS is tied to Jamie's murder. He's still short on proof linking Nicholas to APURS. Mike orders him back to the States tomorrow, but Ryan's not the type to roll over. He dials Congressman Chapin for a lifeline. Knowing Ryan nearly died on this gig, Chapin pulls strings to keep him in play. Meanwhile, James digs into that unregistered satellite, suspecting a tie to Venezuela's mining game. He uncovers dirt on mineral deposits and Sergio, the justice minister who vanished a year ago. Mike suggests talking to Sergio's wife, Gloria, who's running for president against Nicholas, swearing to topple Nicholas's corrupt regime. Gloria's rallying crowds and winning hearts. James, posing as a United States official, meets Gloria. She's caught off guard. "I think we can help each other." Gloria doesn't mince words. Historically, the United States has meddled in Latin American elections. James steers to her husband. He learns Sergio visited that jungle before disappearing. James suspects a connection to Jamie's killing and Nicholas as the puppet master. Pledging United States government backing, James vows to uncover the truth about Sergio. Gloria trusts him, pulling a rock from her safe. Sergio's last project. It's tantalite, loaded with tantalum, a must-have for circuit boards, GPS, jet engines. James reports to Mike. Ryan digs deeper, finding Vogler, a company using that mystery satellite to scan for tantalite deposits right in Venezuela's jungle. If tapped, this mine could rival China's tantalum market, worth trillions. No wonder Nicholas is desperate to keep the United States in the dark. The next day, Gloria calls James. Panicked she's being threatened, James sends CIA Security Chief Marzin to train her bodyguards, locking down her safety for the campaign. Gloria's popularity surges. She's got a real shot at the presidency. With CIA protection, her security's airtight. At a London immigration checkpoint, a woman steps up. She removes her sunglasses, startling the officer, but he waves her through. She smiles politely. In private, she peels off a wig, fake lashes, and an eye bandage, real blood underneath. It's Max, the hitman who killed Senator Jamie in Venezuela. Now, he's tailing Ryan to London for another kill. As a pro, as long as he's breathing, the job's not done. Meanwhile, Ryan's in London hunting proof that President Nicholas hired assassins. Checking into his hotel, he freezes Harriet's waiting. She warns him Max is here, urging him to split before he's dead. Ryan's not budging. He's seeing this through. Unable to sway him, Harriet tags along, calling an MI5 contact to dig into APURS, the mercenary outfit. Her guy, Jeremy, confirms APURS is MI5's headache arms smuggling, illegal training, turf wars, you name it. With Jeremy's help, Ryan scores a meeting with Thorne, APURS's chairman. Cutting to the chase, Ryan asks if APURS supplied mercs to Nicholas to guard his mines. Thorne plays dumb. No politics, just cash. They serve whoever pays. Ryan slaps Max's sketch on the table. Thorne admits working with him but claims he's just a broker. Details aren't his thing. Max's client, a shell company, New Copamas. Thorne sets a meet with Max tomorrow at a restaurant, spinning a yarn about a new client. Next day, MI5 stakes out the restaurant, ready to grab Max. But it's a decoy. A bullet rips through Thorne's skull, taking Ryan's answers with him. Max, smelling the trap, was watching from a nearby apartment. Ryan traces the shot's angle, spots him, and gives chase across rooftops. Max leaps into the Thames, gone. Back at the restaurant, MI5 demands Ryan's weapon. Harriet's escorted out, leaving British cops to take over. No way, Ryan's quitting. He swipes Thorne's house keys and breaks in. Finding it empty, he rummages, snagging a gun from a drawer, just what he needs. Thorne's computer is locked. Ryan calls a CIA hacker, cracking the password mid-chat. Jackpot, tons of dirt inside. Ryan loops in James' bank records show New Copemas wired Max a fat sum right before the convoy bombing, handled by a lawyer, Monica. James starts tracking her. Ryan keeps hunting Max. Harriet, knowing Max's weak spot, can't cover for him anymore. He helped her once, but now he's a remorseless killer. She takes Ryan to the Royal Academy, where Max's daughter, Anna, studies. Ryan lays out the stakes, convincing Anna to help. They call Max, threatening him to show. That night, they meet at the school. Ryan demands to know if Nicholas hired him. Max, stone cold pro, stays mum. He doesn't even know who Monica's fronting for. His mission's all that matters. Then Harriet moves. She loved him, so she ends him the hardest way. Ryan heads back to Caracas but can't hit the embassy. He snuck to London behind Mike's back. James digs up Monica's file. New Copemas's lawyer. She secures licenses, launders cash, and runs dirty deals. They hit her office, but after a wait, local cops storm in. Monica's watching from a screen somewhere. It's Nicholas's setup. Ryan and James are hauled to a horse riding club. Nicholas, cool as ice, brings up Jamie's murder in front of them, claiming the killer's caught, case closed. Ryan's not buying it. He grabs Nicholas by the throat, figuratively demanding proof. Got the guts to show evidence, or face the consequences. Nicholas smirks. Revenge comes fast. The United States Embassy's under siege. A mob swarms the gates, burning American flags, torching embassy cars, chucking rocks, and screaming, "It's chaos, uncontainable." On TV, Nicholas declares he's severing ties with the United States, giving diplomats 72 hours to clear out. He flashes a photo of James shaking Gloria's hand, accusing the United States of rigging Venezuela's election. Deep in the jungle, Xander the merc left behind stumbles on a labor camp. Prisoners toil under armed guards, spotting guard dogs. He bolts. Meanwhile, 3 United States mercs hunting for him get ambushed. Nicholas gave Mateo access to a high-tech satellite, tracking the Americans to the forest for a kill order. Hearing gunfire, Xander creeps closer. From behind, he spots Mateo on a ridge, scoping the scene with binoculars. Xander clocks him, sending Mateo tumbling down the slope. The 3 mercs seize the chance to run. Xander keeps hammering the enemy, linking up with the trio, but Venezuelan troops flood in. The team leader orders the others to take a crate to the boat and get it to James. While he draws fire, he knows it's a one-way trip. Shots echo. Xander, defying orders, doubles back to help. Too late. The leader's down. A dead United States merc in the jungle. Ironclad proof America's sneaking around. The United States has no defense. All United States diplomats are expelled. The embassy lowers its flag. Staff scrambled to flee. James urges Mike, "We're close to the truth. We can't quit." Mike thinks it over, then stays to chase answers. They hit the embassy's basement, a stash of weapons and a safe stuffed with cash. Loaded up, they head to the garage. Marzin's waiting, tossing Mike a police uniform and pointing to 2 cop cars. Plan B. Mike dresses as a cop, packing heat and money. James climbs into Marzin's ride, his heart condition flaring. Ryan tells Marzin to get James on a plane with the others. No risks. Ryan ducks into Mike's car. They slip out a back exit, dodging the mob and local cops. But James glances back and spots Mateo. Marzin sold them out. At a Caracas safe house, Lisa calls. James never made it. Mike senses trouble, grabs gear and cash, but the car won't start. Ryan checks under the hood as headlights close in. Ambush. They dive for cover, trading shots. Ryan fires a rocket, blowing the enemy's ride to hell. They peel out in their bullet-riddled wreck. Next morning, Mike storms Marzin's place, squeezing him hard. Marzin spills. He killed Pelevin in jail, snitched on the United States mercs in the forest, handed James to the camp, and gave up the CIA safe house. Ryan argues to keep Marzin alive. Killing him risks exposure. Mike's done with traitors. Mike plans to regroup with the mercs, cross into Colombia for backup, then hit the camp to save James. Ryan drops a bomb. James's heart condition means he's on borrowed time. They've got to move now. 5 guys against dozens. Ryan grins.
You know how much money we have?
In the camp, James endures brutal torture. Mateo beats him bloody, locks him in a cell. He learns the prisoners slaving away at various jobs all opposed Nicholas. James mentions the election, how Gloria, the ex-justice minister's wife, could win. A frail, white-haired man stands, trembling. It's Sergio alive. Ryan, Mike, and the three mercs head into the jungle. Ryan tells Mike to hang back. If they all die, someone's gotta tell DC. For charge, and Yost, mid-shave, spots them.
What the hell? Search him!
Ryan's cool, flashing a stack of bills. He hires Yost to spring James from a camp 15 clicks away. Yost sneers, remembering James snapping his finger. Ryan cuts in, focus on the money, deals done, cash for action. In Caracas, the night before the election results, Nicholas delivers a fiery speech to a packed plaza. Later, he dines with his vice president. Tensions thick. Nicholas knows the vice president's planning to defect to the United States, backed by the CIA. Breaking news hits, Venezuela's satellite system's been hijacked, likely by Americans. Panicked, Nicholas fears the United States will uncover his jungle secret. He orders the execution of 41 prisoners in the labor camp to silence them. Ryan's team sneaks into the camp, a covert prison for government dissidents. Mid-plan, gunfire erupts. They charge in, finding Nicholas's men slaughtering prisoners. Ryan leads the counterattack, dropping the executioners, saving who's left. Desperate, he hunts for James. In despair, Sergio reveals James was moved 30 minutes ago to a dungeon under the presidential palace. In the dank cell, James clings to a sliver of light, praying. Upstairs, Nicholas slits the throat of his traitorous vice president. The election's in overdrive. Despite some loyalists, Nicholas faces a fracturing regime and United States pressure. He'll do anything to stay president. By morning, Ryan's team frees some prisoners, but others weren't so lucky, massacred brutally. Ryan films the carnage. Xander finds the team leader's body. For mercs, death's just another day. The election's heating up. Venezuelan media blasts United States interference, swaying voters against Gloria. Fearing defeat, she heads to the polls. At the camp, Ryan captures damning evidence, uploads it online. Soon, Mike arrives by chopper with good news. Vogler's tied to two Black Ops firms, one run by Monica under Nicholas's orders, the other, North Lake Union, based in Philadelphia. Ryan recalls Thorne's laptop from a PUR's 6 calls to a Philadelphia number. They've got Nicholas cornered, but Ryan wants the last conspirator. He calls Harriet in London for Thorne's phone, now with MI5. She promises to get it in 2 days. Mike secures a map of the presidential palace. With ties cut, they're going in to grab James. Mike barks.
Peralta! It's your palace!
Nicholas reels from a bombshell. The United States exposed the camp, and global media's eating it up. Furious, he shuts down voting, sending troops to seal ballot boxes. Gloria's helpless as soldiers fired to scatter crowds, crushing resistance. Inside the palace, elites party with fine wine, gourmet food, and live music. Outside, protesters clash with guards, who fired tear gas to hold them back. United States choppers hover above the palace. Mike's orders, grab James, get out. In the dungeon, James plays dead, luring a guard, then takes him down. Choppers land on the roof. Venezuelan troops rushing up get mowed down. Anyone in the way's a goner. James, armed with a stolen rifle, breaks free. Mateo leads a sweep, takes a bullet, and ends up caged. The palace lobby's a war zone. United States forces overwhelm, cutting through unprepared guards. James links with Ryan, and they sprint to the roof for extraction. Passing Nicholas's office, Ryan can't resist. He storms in. Nicholas stares at the raging mob outside. Gunfire echoes in the halls. Ryan empties his clip, tosses a grenade. Facing Nicholas, he holds back from killing but spits.
That's what your country thinks of you now.
As Ryan teeters on vengeance, Mike yanks him back. Killing Nicholas means consequences. The mob breaches the gates, trashing the palace. Nicholas resigns. Gloria wins the election. Sergio's freed, reuniting with his family. Back in the States, Ryan visits Congressman Chapin. After pleasantries, Ryan pulls out Thorne's phone. The day he hit London, Chapin called Thorne. No direct link to North Lake Union, but Chapin's call log spills the truth. He was the mastermind, colluding with Nicholas to block the United States tantalum probe and ordered Jamie's hit. A chopper touches down on the USS Roosevelt, cruising the Black Sea. CIA agent Jack Ryan gets a hot tip. A refrigerated cargo ship fresh out of Crimea is carrying Russian nuclear weapon materials. The CIA scrambles a covert ops team, disguised as civilians, to scope it out. Under cover of night, Ryan's squad speeds a dinghy alongside the ship. They fire a grappling hook, silently boarding the freighter. Taking out a lone sailor, they slip into the cargo hold.
Clear! Looking for 2 digits, 6B!
Locating container 6B, Ryan spots a suspicious pipe sticking out. Cracking the door, they find a Russian hiding inside. Yuri, a nuclear weapons expert. He says he was told to board the ship and wait for Americans to extract and protect him. No nukes found. The mission's now a rescue op. Yuri drops a bomb. Project Sokol, a finished nuclear weapon, exists, but he doesn't know where it is. Bringing back just one witness, the CIA's plans gone sideways. Ryan's boss, Elizabeth, orders them to a safe spot in Greece. At dawn, they hit Lagrana, where a car's waiting. Yuri reveals he's a hunted man for knowing too much. Sokol's a stealth nuke with a 3-megaton yield, part of Russia's war plan, 7 days to the Rhine. As they approach the car, gunfire erupts. The pickup team's wiped out. Ryan, leaning on his grid, gets Yuri out alive. He radios Elizabeth. "Where are you?" "Everyone's dead. The whole team. Where do I go now?" Elizabeth sends Ryan to a safe house in Athens, telling him to check in later. The cars tail them hard. Ryan swerves onto a mountain road, using an oncoming truck to shove a pursuer off a cliff. No time for sightseeing, they're focused on survival. Ryan drives their bullet-riddled ride into Athens, thinking they've lost the hunters. Wrong. Another car closes in. Clueless how their moves are leaking, Ryan floors it, weaving through traffic to shake them. Realizing escape's futile, he slams the brakes at a turn, reverses fast, and smashes the enemy's car. Safe for now. But Athens traffic's a nightmare, their car's stuck in a jam. Ryan tells Yuri to bail, aiming for a nearby building. Bullets fly. Yuri takes a hit, wounded. They duck inside, Ryan clearing out a family to secure the place. The enemy's on them. A thug snarls. "Who got you out of Russia?" Cornered, Ryan fights to stay alive. Powerless, he watches Yuri, the only witness, get gunned down. With no options left, Ryan bolts, escaping by a thread. Facing a pack of armed enemies alone, Ryan's no superhuman, but his instincts keep him alive where most would have died. He bolts, blending into the bustling Athens crowd. Gone. In Prague, Czech Republic, Russian Defense Minister Popov preps to meet President Elena. The press shouldn't be here, but camera flashes swarm Popov's entourage. When he presses Elena on NATO's plan to deploy surface-to-air missiles in the Czech Republic, she fires back. If Russia halts its invasion of Ukraine, she'll consider rejecting NATO's offer. Invading a neighbor and shattering peace outweighs missile placements. The room tenses instantly. Popov's pissed, feeling blindsided by Elena's public jab. "Watch your step, Madam President." The next day, they're set to catch a soccer match between their countries. Chatting on the VIP walkway, a sniper's bullet rips through Popov's skull. Chaos erupts. Elena's whisked away by bodyguards. The assassination of Russia's defense minister on Czech soil sends shockwaves worldwide. Meanwhile, Ryan hits a safe house in Athens and calls Rome. James and Elizabeth, holed up at the United States Embassy, are on edge. "Where are you?" "Yuri's dead. They got him." "Popov's gone too." Learning of Popov's hit, Ryan connects the dots. The 7 days to the Rhine plan is in motion. This killing's the first domino. The Sokol nuke's the last. Elizabeth lays it out. Ryan's wanted in Greece for illegal entry and a Russian's murder. If he doesn't turn himself in, the CIA will strip his embassy status, leaving him without diplomatic immunity. Ryan knows his intel's too critical to let slip. James trusts his gut, slipping him a code. "Head to the sanctuary." Ryan gets it. He powers off his phone, yanks the SIM, and tosses the device in a curbside trash can. Once a CIA golden boy, he's now a liability after the Athens mess. The higher-ups want him to take the fall. Night falls on glittering Athens. Undocumented and alone, Ryan's adrift in the city, with nowhere to turn. In Russia, the Kremlin pins Popov's death on the United States. Petrov, Popov's successor, tells the president, America's using NATO to choke Russia, creeping right to their doorstep. The oil price wars bled Russia's wealth dry. On the same day Popov died, United States intel snatched Yuri, a nuclear weapons expert, trying to flip him. Lucky for Russia, it flopped.
Fortunately, the mission backfired.
We're just too busy hiding to do anything about it.
General Luka, a heavy hitter, speaks up. Alone with Petrov, Luka drops a hint. The assassin might not be American. They could be hiding a bigger play. The tip about Yuri, the Russian nuclear expert, was a Russian plant, fed to the CIA to bait them. Ryan realizes he's been played a pawn in a bigger game. In Athens, Ryan tails the guy who tried to kill him last night, snapping a quick photo. Using his phone's GPS, he tracks down a clothing store called Paradise. James's sanctuary hint meant this place. The shop owner, hearing Ryan's story, knows exactly who he is and why he's here. He ducks into a back room, returning with a tie box. Under the ties, Ryan finds a wad of cash and an address. Borrowing the owner's computer, Ryan logs into a friend's website, firing off a message for help. Following the address, he meets Tony, a CIA operative who aided him in Turkey. Tony now runs a car repair shop in Athens, a cover for trading intel with CIA contacts. This time, he's Ryan's temporary lifeline. Meanwhile, James and Elizabeth catch an early flight from Rome to Athens. At the local police station, the chief greets them personally. Ryan's Athens killing can't be ignored, especially with Russia leaning hard on Greece. Interpol slapped a red notice on him. James hopes to find Ryan before the Russians do. James drags Elizabeth to Tony's garage. Ryan, anticipating this, told Tony to deny his presence if Elizabeth shows up. James smells Ryan's nearby, slipping Tony a note. Nothing's free. Tony demands cash. A Russian GRU agent, Konstantin, watches from a distance. He's the one tasked with hunting and killing Ryan. Back at the garage, Tony warns Ryan. He's on an urgent wanted list. Grasping the stakes, Ryan's hell-bent on uncovering the truth to clear his name. He shows Tony the photo of last night's attacker. Tony recognizes him, a heavy hitter in Athens with goons and cops in his pocket. Ryan bets he's Russian intel, the one who killed Yuri, and likely tied to Popov's assassination. Logging back into his friend's site, Ryan sets a meet. In Moscow's Kremlin, Petrov swears in as Russia's new defense minister. Soon, Czech President Elena calls, offering condolences for Popov and reminding Petrov of Popov's deal. If Russia halts its Ukraine war, the Czechs will nix NATO's missile deployment. Petrov shrugs it off. Popov's promises don't bind him. Russia's doubling down on Ukraine, and any NATO aid to the Czechs is a threat, he warns Elena. Cozy up to America, and Russia will mark you as an enemy. Elena, stuck leading a small nation caught between Russia and the United States, can't afford to piss off either side. Her father cautions, Russia will retaliate, and it doesn't matter who pulled the trigger, they'll spin this for their gain. Elena suspects Russia staged Popov's hit, but she's got no proof. In Athens, James and Elizabeth stake out Tony's garage, waiting for Ryan. Suddenly, Athens cops swarm in. Tony, sensing trouble, hustles Ryan into hiding. Sure enough, Konstantin GRU's top dog storms in with his crew. Tony plays it cool, feet up on the desk, acting clueless to every question. Konstantin orders a sweep, tearing through every car in the place. James grips his gun, but they've got to stay calm. Any rash move could blow everything. He silently prays Konstantin's men don't find Ryan. The cops rip the garage apart but come up empty, leaving in a huff. James exhales, relieved. Elizabeth, frustrated, has no clue how to report Ryan's absence to the brass. Once Tony's sure Konstantin's gone, he hits a switch, raising the garage's repair platform. Ryan crawls out from a tight crawlspace below. Borrowing one of Tony's cars, he heads to meet Mike, ex-CIA station chief from Venezuela, the friend he'd contacted earlier. Mike's retired, running a private gig with old contacts, and business is good. He takes Ryan to his base on Santorini. Hearing Ryan's ordeal and next steps, Mike's in for a big play. Meanwhile, Elizabeth catches on. James isn't helping nab Ryan, he's quietly backing him. She doesn't snitch, but sends James to Prague to ensure Czech President Elena's moves align with United States and NATO interests. No screw-ups, or James is out. In Moscow, Defense Minister Petrov huddles with General Luka, scheming their next military move. From Santorini, Ryan pings an intel source in Russia. After constant near misses, he knows there's a bigger plot at work. He cuts through the games. The message hits Luka's desk. Mike's uneasy. What if this Russian contact's fake, just jerking Ryan around? Ryan smirks, the real show's just starting. In Vienna, a woman steps out of a clothing store, tailed. At her safe house, she's cornered but stays ice cold. She's Zoya, a seasoned operative. Turns out, the global sim she gave Ryan set him up. On that Black Sea freighter, he found no nuke materials, only a trap that landed him on Interpol's most wanted list. Ryan trusts Zoya but doubts her source. Zoya swears by her contact. If Russia's Sokol plan is real, millions could die. Ryan demands a face-to-face with her source to stop it. Zoya agrees, promising to set it up after leaving Vienna. Outside, Ryan links with Mike. Without CIA backing, chasing Sokol's a minefield deadly at every turn. The CIA director'd crush anyone for personal gain, and Elizabeth's just climbing the ladder. James is Ryan's only real ally, but he won't drag him down. Mike doubles down, backing Ryan anyway. Joining this op could open doors no ordinary player could touch. In Rome, at the United States Embassy, an FBI task force storms in, gunning to grab Ryan for treason. Elizabeth scrambles to meet them. National intelligence says Ryan's knowledge is too valuable to fall into foreign hands. They need him back in the States. Elizabeth orders her team to track Zoya, Ryan's intel supplier, hoping she'll lead them to him. In Prague, James gets Elizabeth's update on Ryan's situation and can't help but worry. As the point man countering Russia, he's got to focus on swaying Czech President Elena to America's side. Elena's security chief, Radek, eyes the CIA's sudden visit warily. Luckily, James and Elena go way back, their rapport solid. Elena ushers James into Prague Castle. They walk and talk Russia's moves in Ukraine. The new defense minister Petrov. Elena confirms Popov and Petrov were night and day on the war. James floats a plan. The United States could push NATO to deploy missiles in the Czech Republic, pressuring Russia to pull back. In Vienna, Ryan and Mike dig through intel. Popov opposed nukes, but he's dead now. Ryan asks, who benefits most? The new defense minister. James calls Mike, hunting Ryan. He warns, Homeland Security sent FBI agents to Vienna to nab Ryan for treason. Ryan's floored, risking his life for the mission, only to be branded a traitor. Then Zoya messages, urging him to meet a senior intel officer. In the Czech Republic, Elena's father hosts a hunting trip with special guests, really a cover for dirty deals. He's in touch with a nuclear materials supplier and tycoon Lichkin. At dusk, the final guest arrives, Petrov. Turns out, this crew orchestrated Popov's hit, and they kicked off the Sokol plan. But why's Elena's dad mixed up in this? Under cover of night, the group hunts wolves. Elena's father pulls Lichkin aside and, as Lichkin aims at a wolf, shoots him dead. Lichkin, paid off and now useless, knew too much. The old man's ruthless, cold as ice. Back in Prague, James reviews footage of Popov's assassination. No cameras caught the second-floor parking lot, so he checks the first floor. He spots Radek peeling off from Elena's entourage as they hit the VIP route. Odd behavior. James sets a meeting with Elena at the stadium to jog her memory. She recalls, Radek wasn't by her side then. The truth unravels. Radek and his wife work for Elena's father. They hired a hitman for Popov, pinning it on a fall guy. After the job, Radek erased both the hitman and the patsy. But James catches a slip in the details, zeroing in on Radek. In Vienna, per Zoya's tip, Ryan and Mike head to a train station. Before boarding, Ryan clocks a camera. His hacker buddies set everything up, faking his location to throw off the FBI tail. All clear, Ryan climbs aboard to meet his contact. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and the FBI land in Vienna. They spot Ryan on camera feeds, unaware it's a decoy. On the train, Mike's ambushed by Constantine. Someone jabs a needle into Ryan's leg, then Constantine strikes from behind. They brawl in a cramped corridor, every move meant to kill. He yanks the train door open, dangling Ryan's head outside, guns in his face. The old man steps up.
Do you know who I am? Luka Gotra!
But when asked what Yuri spilled about the nuke program, Ryan clams up. Luka pulls a gun, aims at Ryan, then swings it toward Constantine. Ryan's stunned. Luka says the syringe was just water, pressing him. Want to stop Sokol? Move, we're out of time. In Austria, Elizabeth and the FBI touch down in Semmering, staking out a train station Ryan's bound to pass, but Ryan's with Luka on a different train. Baffled why Luka's aiding the CIA, Ryan listens as Luka lays it bare. This is their one shot together. Sokol's not Russia's plan, it's a rogue faction's. Luka spins a tale from 1969, a secret Soviet nuke base running project. Sokol compact nuclear weapons, parts shortages stalled it, then the government abruptly canned the program. The scientists had no clue their lives were on the line. An officer stepped out, and the cleanup crew got orders, wipe out everyone tied to Sokol, burying the project and its tech for good. But the cleanup team fractured, soldiers bound by orders, sure, but not all were mindless drones. Sergeant Lebedev saw Sokol as the Soviet Union's salvation, refusing to kill the scientists. His squad warned, defy orders, you're a traitor. Lebedev roared. No enemies here. The real traitors are in Moscow. Antonov, a teammate, wavered, swayed by Lebedev's logic. Another soldier shut it down, shooting Lebedev, who tumbled downstairs. The shooter glared at Antonov. Got a problem. The crew slaughtered everyone. Luca, who gave the order, waited outside. When the gunfire stopped, he walked into a bloodbath, collecting the scientists' belongings to break the news to their families. Lebedev, though, wasn't dead. He grabbed a gun, slipped away, and vanished, resurfacing in the Czech Republic. He's Alina's father. Lebedev nursed a secret dream, revived the nation's glory. He teamed up with Petrov, hatching the 7 days to the Rhine war plan. His cyber war's clever, low cost, but Lebedev knows bloodless wars don't count. Now a top Russian intel officer, Luka, uncovered the scheme. Fearing it'd spark a United States-Russia clash, maybe World War III, he fed Ryan intel through Zoya, banking on the CIA to crush Sokol early. But Luka didn't see Petrov's move coming: kill Yuri, frame Ryan. To cool tensions, the CIA hung Ryan out to dry, yanking his embassy status and hunting him down. Ryan's intel went to Elizabeth, who passed it straight to CIA Director Miller. Miller scoffed, refusing Elizabeth's request to act, ordering her to drag Ryan in. Luka, playing double agent, infiltrated the plot to expose it. He knows uranium for Sokol's rare, supplied by arms dealers like Zubkov, Mike's contact. That's why Mike's still breathing. Every tip Ryan got came from Luka via Zoya. Luka meant to use Ryan to make the CIA buy Sokol's threat, never imagining Ryan'd end up a fugitive from his own country. At Semerin, Elizabeth and the FBI wait at the tunnel exit. Ryan's call catches her off guard. He lays out the truth about Sokol and Luka. Elizabeth pushes back. CIA Director Miller won't buy a Russian general's word, let alone greenlight action. Ryan warns, someone's pitting America against Russia to spark war, and they're the only ones who can stop it. As the train exits the tunnel, Elizabeth's torn. Trust Ryan's intel. Help him under the table. Spotting the train, she bolts without a word. The FBI agents freeze, confused. He's on the red train. Too late, they've been played. Ryan and Mike are already off the train in Budapest, Hungary, gearing up to cross the border. In Prague, James meets Alina's father. When James shares his suspicions about Roddick's role in Popov's assassination, the old man turns to Elena.
Then your options are severely limited, Madam President.
Elena draws a line. She'll let NATO deploy missiles in the Czech Republic. Whatever Russia's planning, she won't let her country be their playground. In Moscow, Luka confronts Petrov, exposing Konstantin's betrayal. He flashes Konstantin's phone, proof he was feeding Ryan intel.
Where is he now?
Luka flips the script, accusing Petrov of sending Konstantin to silence him over Sokol. He leans in. How many defense ministers vanished in the dark? I was the last face they saw. Petrov scrambles, swearing he didn't know Konstantin was a double agent, promising a probe. Luka shuts it down. Don't dig. Petrov's bosses learning about a mole would crush him. Luka's masterstroke clears his path, buries suspicion, and rattles Petrov. In Budapest, Ryan, Mike, and Luka track Zubkov, the arms dealer fueling Sokol's uranium. All ex-operatives, they find tailing him easy. Zubkov's paranoid, his villa's a fortress, no outsiders allowed. To meet him, they need him to come begging to Mike. They hatch a plan, hacking George Zubkov's right-hand man. They learn he's meeting Ian, a smuggler, at Felix's restaurant, 1 p.m. Zubkov shows, dials Ian. Ryan steps in. If I were you, I wouldn't pick up. Ian tenses, smelling trouble. Ryan doesn't confirm he's CIA, just hints. Zubkov's under investigation for supplying terrorists. Stick with him, and Ian's company, assets, even freedom are toast. Ryan adds.
I'd want to get the hell out of Budapest.
The warning lands. Ian texts Zubkov. Zubkov's livid. Mike, watching through binoculars, knows they've hit the mark. That night, they snatch George. Next morning, Mike, carrying George's bag, hits a restaurant, stashing it behind a sofa. Across the street, Ryan sets up a scope, syncing with Mike. They wait. Zubkov, frantic without George, tracks the phone's GPS to the restaurant. He tears through the place, hears a buzz, finds the bag. The phone rings, no one talks. Ryan, from his perch, dials and hangs up, again and again, driving Zubkov nuts. Find George, now. Even lounging in his villa's pool, Zubkov's on edge, terrified. George is spilling everything to Interpol. Outside Zubkov's villa, Mike's operative buddy moves. He stuffs a fake bomb into a teddy bear, drives to Zubkov's gate, slaps a hacking device on the lock, and works his laptop. The gate glides open. Child's play for a hacker. He pulls in, darts out through a closing gate, and vanishes. Zubkov spots the intruder on camera, senses danger. His guard checks the car, sees the bomb ticking down. Bomb, run. Zubkov bolts from the villa, a driver's ready, he floors it, calling Mike, begging to flee Budapest. Mike demands 100 grand up front, orders him to ditch his sim, toss the phone, and stay dark until they meet at a set address. Zubkov races over, rattled by Georges' disappearance. Seeing Mike, he relaxes until he steps inside and spots Georges, bound. Mike jams a gun to his head. Zubkov knows he's screwed, no way out. Ryan leans in, breaking him fast. The uranium's headed to Matoksa. Ryan radios Elizabeth for backup, trusting his intel. She's all in. In Moscow's Kremlin, an emergency meeting tackles Alina's green light for NATO missiles in the Czech Republic. Petrov calls it a warning shot, an invasion signal, with Russian troops camped near Slovakia, in missile range. Elena meant to block NATO, but Popov's murder in front of her flipped the script. Petrov suspects James, cozying up to Elena, swayed her. He pushes for S-400 cruise missiles on the Czech border, loud in public to flex at the United States. The Russian president signs off. Post-meeting, Petrov asks about the president's chief of staff, a no-show, sick at home. The president says, truth is, he's locked in an intel agency's underground cell, nailed for treason by Luka. Luka interrogates, bluffing that Petrov's in custody, pressing for names. The chief admits shadowing the president for Petrov, overhearing calls to Sarhan Lichkin about the crossbow and scattered details. Luka considers sparing him, but the chief sneers. This place is whores, crooks, and bureaucrats. I just wanted a country to be proud of. His rant seals his fate. Luka ends him. In Prague, James pegs Roddick for Popov's hit. While Roddick's wife and kid are out, he and an agent slip into their house. No smoking gun, but James spots photos featuring Alina's dad, Kovac, a former Radial Defense University instructor. Their tight bond raises flags. James visits Kovac with a bottle of liquor. Chatting, he learns Roddick hates Russia, but Kovac clocks James's dogged pursuit of Roddick. Kovac calls Petrov, probing about nuclear materials. Petrov's in the dark. Zubkov and the chief have gone silent. Uranium's the linchpin. Without it, their plan's toast. At least he's got Luka. Zubkov's cuffed, loaded into a CIA van. Ryan's shocked. Elizabeth showed up herself. She's floored he shared the uranium drop point instantly. She vows, if Ryan's got a way to stop Sokol, go all out. She's got his back. Miller calls, grilling her on Ryan's capture. Elizabeth lies, no trace. In the Czech Republic, Elena preps a ceremony for NATO's missiles. Roddick's wife returns home, spotting signs of a pro-break-in. At the NATO missile ceremony, Roddick's wife calls him, panicked. If the CIA's onto them, Kovac will wipe out their family to cover tracks. Roddick orders her to grab their daughter and flee Prague, promising to regroup soon. Hanging up, he hustles Elena out, claiming a security threat. She complies, climbing into his car. The convoy rolls, but Roddick veers off, ditching the others. He takes Elena to an underground parking lot, ties her up, switches cars, and calls Kovac her father. Roddick knows Kovac will eliminate loose ends, including him and his family. He offers Elena for his wife and kid, setting to meet at a rural villa. James hears Roddick snatched Elena and orders a pursuit. Tracking Roddick's call to Kovac and his rural route, James digs for properties they own there. Roddick reaches the villa, guns down a greeting guard, locks Elena in a room by a bridge, and sets an ambush for Kovac. In Russia, Ryan's team hits the Matoksa nuclear facility, long abandoned. Inside, Luka spots Ryan on cameras, ordering his men to move a small nuke and scrub the place clean. Ryan arrives to darkness, but a smoldering cigarette betrays life. Sneaking to the door, he drops a Russian soldier stepping out. Ryan alerts Elizabeth, then loses contact with headquarters. The team splits up. In a room, rifling through files, Ryan's startled by Luka. Luka says he's stuck spying here. Sokol can't be stopped yet. He hasn't ID'd the mastermind. It's their only lead. He bolts. Ryan rallies his team. At the building's south end, they catch Russian soldiers moving a warhead and engage. Luka seals a door, slipping away. Ryan can't catch him. Mike calls in a chopper. They grab a wounded teammate, clashing hard with Russian troops. Outgunned, they're saved when the chopper unloads from above, clearing the enemy. They escape, but Sokol's still in play. A text pings Ryan a Czech location. They fly to Kokot, Finland, for a private jet to Prague. Studying last night's files, Ryan uncovers a bombshell. Sokol's a nuclear cruise missile mimicking United States designs. If it detonates, the world will blame America. A warhead's en route from Russia to the Czech Republic. Luka, nearing the Sokol puppet master, has his phone confiscated. At a Czech hunting lodge, he faces Lebedev. Now Kovac, Alina's dad. 53 years ago, Lebedev defied orders to kill Sokol scientists, took a bullet, and fled in the chaos, resurfacing in the Czech Republic under a new name. At the United States Embassy in Prague, CIA tracks the warhead via flight data, guessing its detonation site. Ryan, still a fugitive, pops up on cameras. Director Miller sends agents to nab him. Embassy allies tip Ryan to run. James, working the Czech police chief, sets a trap at the evac point. Agents chase Ryan downstairs, catching a decoy. Ryan strolls through the lobby. Spotted, he sprints, dodging through an alley to Mike, who's mid-lunch. They bolt to the rendezvous. Safe. Agents arrive, flashing Interpol warrants, but in the Czech Republic, they've got no juice. Ryan and Mike, grinning, let local cops escort them. They're headed to Prague Castle to see Elena. Elena interrogates Radek's wife. Last night, Radek kidnapped her, but she escaped the cabin. Radek chased her to the villa, where they clashed until Kovac stabbed him dead from behind. Elena reels. Her father killed Popov. Kovac hid his ambitions flawlessly. Elena was his puppet. Even her election was rigged with his cash and clout. James arrives at dawn, but Kovac is gone. He warns Elena Popov's murder was just the opening act of a bigger scheme. He urges her to help the CIA hunt Kovac. Radek's wife, despite Kovac killing her husband, shares his cause and clams up, loyal to the end. Ryan visits Elena, warning of nuclear warheads in the Czech Republic, but Luka's gone silent, leaving its location a mystery. Learning NATO's convoy is 3 hours from Chaslav airbase, Ryan pulls its route. He rethinks his theory. Rogue Russians framing the United States for a nuke might be off. If they make the world think America brought a warhead to the Czechs, Russia'd retaliate. Chaslav's the target. He moves out. Ryan's chopper tails the NATO convoy. The United States Embassy in Prague links him with the convoy's Colonel Moore. Ryan warns, a vehicle packing the nuke might be trailing, but a bomb-laden rig can't speed up. As the convoy hits a tunnel, the call drops, signals gone. Elena recalls the route cuts through Nimbik, a town of 20,000. James wonders. Blow up a town to piss off the world. Targets Nimbik. Czech forces set a 5 km perimeter. Elena grills Radek's wife on Kovac's whereabouts. Stonewalled, she threatens the woman's daughter. In the air, Ryan's chopper spots the nuke truck barreling toward NATO's convoy, 5 kilometers back. He scrambles for a plan. Nearing the next tunnel, Ryan orders his pilot to race ahead, patching through to Moore. He tells NATO to slow down, let the nuke truck catch up, and detonate it inside the tunnel, the only way to avoid a bigger disaster. Moore trusts him. NATO enters. The nuke truck closes in. Ryan directs the chopper to land at the tunnel's far end. Moore has a driver park a truck crosswise near the tunnel exit, then both bail, sprinting out. Fearing they won't make it, Ryan stops a NATO vehicle, tells its driver to switch rigs, and floors it into the tunnel to grab them. Czech troops cut power. The tunnel goes black. Ryan finds Moore and the driver, peeling out. The nuke truck's driver, seeing lights die, fumbles for his headlights. Too late, he slams into the barricade truck. A massive blast rocks the tunnel. Ryan's vehicle catches the shockwave, smashing into a divider. The tunnel collapses. The embassy loses Ryan's signal. Tension spikes. A plane lands. Mike bolts to the road, shouting for Ryan. The truck held Ryan, Moore, and the driver crawl out alive. Nimbuk's safe, but at the hunting lodge, Luka smirks at Kovac. Long as it blows, we're good. Others'll fan the flames. Kovac is stunned when Luka mentions the crossbow. Snipers around the lodge drop Kovac's guards. Hearing chaos, Kovac draws. Elena leading a raid beats him. Luka ties a belt to stop Kovac's arterial bleed. Elena faces her dad. Luka says the belt'll hold him till a hospital, but she wants a private word. Kovac confesses he married her mom for power, molded Elena as a tool, and rigged her election. Her life's a lie, she's his puppet. He hands her a letter, pleading for understanding. Elena tosses it into the fireplace, yanks off the belt. Kovac bleeds out. Luka grabs his phone from a guard, texts Ryan an airfield's coordinates. Ryan orders the chopper there fast. Elizabeth, after covertly aiding Ryan's tunnel strike, gets yanked back to headquarters, suspended for defying orders. She begs Miller. Ryan's intel is critical. America's being dragged into war. Miller brushes her off. At her hotel, Elizabeth finds a letter with an email and password. Logging in, she pulls a draft video, saves it to a USB, and grins. She contacts General Ramos, using James's name, spilling everything from Ryan's Czech intel and handing over the video evidence. The Czech nuke blast triggers an emergency White House meeting. The vice president hammers Miller. A crisis this big, and CIA's clueless. Miller squirms. General Ramos lays out evidence. CIA Director Miller sat on Sokol intel and sent agents to grab Ryan. Elizabeth backs him up. Ryan alone had the scoop, stonewalled by Miller. The vice president orders her to meet Ryan's every need, handing her full control. At the airfield, Ryan links with James and Elena. They're Moscow-bound, Luca in tow. A tougher fight looms, and Ryan's got no intel, no plan, nothing.
You have me.
Past midnight, Elizabeth briefs the president at the White House. A mini nuke detonated in the Czech Republic. Intel suggests it's a United States-style missile, meant to pit Russia and America against each other, sparking war. She urges him not to take the bait, vowing updates if anything breaks. Ryan tails Luca to Moscow. Luca's cover as a Sokol mole blows Russian operatives snatch him into a car. Ryan follows at a distance. Luca's hauled to a warehouse, odds grim, but he stays cool, lighting a cigarette from his case. Petrov steps in, owning his scheme. Popov was useless. I helped Russia. Luca sees Petrov's worse than Lebedev ever was. Unfazed by Luca's judgment, Petrov hands a gun to an operative, orders him to kill Luca, and walks out. The rookie hesitates, psyching himself up. Before he pulls the trigger, his head explodes. Ryan strikes from a side door. Luca snags the operative's gun. Together, they tear through the Russian squad, scattering them in a panic. In the Kremlin, Petrov joins a military briefing. Russia, blaming the Czech blast on a United States nuke, ups its alert. Petrov notes America's at DEFCON 3, pushing for a match. Another general says the Czech mess proves United States deceit. The president greenlights Su-57 fighters for combat readiness, visible to flex muscle but forbids action without orders. Luca checks his cigarette case. A mini recorder tucked underneath caught Petrov's confession. He entrusts it to Ryan for Elena. In the Czech Republic, James meets Vova, a retired Russian soldier. Showing a young Kovac in uniform, he asks what kind of troop he was. Vova reveals Kovac worked cleanup for the emergency response unit, handling fires and chemical leaks. Chernobyl crushed the unit. Some died, others disowned their past. James asks Vova to track down Kovac's old teammates, needing to meet today. Vova sends an address. James goes solo, but as he enters the building, Vova ambushes him. A knife grazes James. They grapple. James shoves Vova downstairs, demanding why. Vova confesses. After digging into the Motska unit, General Antonov called, ordering him to kill anyone sniffing around. Loyalty to his country left him no choice. Elena confronts Petrov privately. She exposes his plot with Kovac. Petrov doesn't flinch, warning her, lead the Czech Republic well, steer clear of NATO. That night, Ryan sneaks a meet with James, handing over the recording nailing Petrov for Popov's murder. James drops a bomb. Antonov's in on the war plot. Luca Bach's Antonov's his close friend, no way he'd betray. But people hide their true colors. They decide to hit Antonov's place for answers. At Antonov's house, Ryan and Luca catch a guy torching files. Ryan drops him, salvaging papers from the fireplace, including specs on the USS Roosevelt in the Baltic. The Russians studied every United States warship there. Ryan stunned. Why'd they have this? Antonov wants war. Ryan finds orders deploying Russia's Fearless signed only by Petrov. Antonov and Petrov are plotting a coup. Meanwhile, Antonov's aboard Fearless, gearing up to ignite conflict. Mike escorts Popov's widow to Elena's safe house. Learning Petrov killed her husband, she vows to work with Elena and the CIA, delivering the recording to Russia's president. She sets them up to infiltrate the Kremlin via a secret tunnel. In D.C., the military scrambles over Russia's moves. Elizabeth briefs the president. Ryan's intel says Fearless's deployment wasn't the Kremlin's call. Petrov acted alone, planning a coup. She trusts Ryan, but the president needs harder proof. Luca plans to board Fearless to stop Antonov. Ryan warns it's a death wish, but Luca flips it. What did you do? Ryan's gotta play get to the USS Roosevelt in the Baltic, countering from America's side. The top Russian and United States operatives part ways, each boarding their nation's warship to halt World War III. Ryan sprints through Russian woods to the Estonia border, dodging a checkpoint. Scaling a hill, he waits for a chopper that doesn't show. He dials his contact, no answer. Panicked, a helicopter rises from a cliff. Ryan bolts to a clearing, boarding for the Baltic. Elizabeth calls. The defense secretary won't clear Ryan for the Roosevelt. He begs her to push harder. At Russia's Kronstadt port, Luka drives to Fearless. As intel chief, he breezes past guards, parks by the ship, and boards into Antonov's grip. A soldier leads Luka to Antonov's quarters. Near the hatch, Luka clocks the guy, snags his gun, but facing Antonov, he surrenders it. Antonov locks him in a cabin. In Moscow, Elena, James, and Mike rolled to a desolate spot. Mike calls their plan insane, but they've got no choice. Elena swears to get them out alive. James knocks, a door opens. Popov's security chief guides them into a tunnel to the Kremlin, risking all for justice. Past a coded gate, they hit a fork. Sinking watches, the chief hands Mike a tunnel map. They're on their own. James heads for Petrov. Mike escorts Elena to Russia's president. The president learns Fearless is prepping to sail. Hearing Petrov went rogue, he storms out, confronting him. Soft talk with America lets them trample us. Here, I give the orders. Russia's president orders Petrov to recall Fearless, but the ship's already at sea. Locked in a cabin, Luka chats calmly with his young guard, Kagansky, dropping a hint. Ever wonder why I'm here? The door swings open. Shut up, Kagansky. He's a snake in the grass. Antonov sends the kid out, facing Luka alone. They dredge up 1969 slaughtering Sokol scientists left Antonov haunted, while Luka buried it. Antonov brands Luka a traitor. Luka fires back. You're the traitor. In the Kremlin, Petrov holds a secret meeting, rallying with fire. His grandfather, a Stalingrad marshal, embodied Russia's glory. Post-Soviet bureaucrats and spineless politicians gutted that pride. He respects the president, but his soft, rigid policies stall progress. We were the world's most feared nation. A monster keeping the globe awake. Today, we reclaim our honor. Petrov calls a vote to oust the president. Most hands rise. Over the Baltic, Ryan's chopper nears the USS Roosevelt. The captain, tipped off about a passenger, bans landing, ordering them back. No ship, I'm dead. A commando unhooks, shoving Ryan into the sea. Bold and brutal, the chopper peels off. Man overboard, 2,000 meters ahead. Maritime law forces the captain to fish Ryan out. Grudgingly, Ryan warns, Russia's in a coup. Fearless's Baltic run lacks presidential approval. He begs the captain not to bite the bait. The captain shrugs. War's war, I've got rules. This is what they want you to do. Radar pings, a cruise missile ship 85 nautical miles out, closing fast. It's Fearless. The captain listens. Ryan reveals Antonov has Roosevelt's files down to the captain's psych evals and will exploit weaknesses. The captain's unfazed. They've dug deep on Fearless, Antonov, and every Baltic player. Beyond standard protocol, Roosevelt and Fearless are set to clash. Fearless sees Roosevelt hold course. Roosevelt's captain orders. Prep harpoon missiles. Teams A and B, stay sharp. They're baiting you. On Fearless, Luka works Kagansky, urging him. Antonov's lying, choose what's right, not wrong orders. In the Kremlin tunnels, James finds his door, burns the code sheet, and punches 3 5s. A guard appears. James demands Petrov. I know about the crossbow. James enters the Kremlin, only to get locked in an interrogation room. Petrov shows. James lays it out. The crossbow is doomed. The coup's crumbling. He offers Petrov sanctuary at the United States Embassy. Patriots don't sell out. What about traitors, comrade? Elena and Mike slip into the Kremlin. Popov's widow calls Russia's president, setting up Elena's meeting. She lays bare her father's and Petrov's plot, offering to take the fall. Handing over Petrov's confession to Popov's murder, she proposes normalizing Russia-Czech ties and easing United States-Russia tensions. She plays the tape. Stunned by Petrov's ambition, the president agrees to reconcile with the Czechs and America. The three nations join forces. On the USS Roosevelt, Ryan stalls the captain, but it's futile. If Fearless strikes, Roosevelt will hit back. In the Kremlin, the president holds an emergency session, airing the tape. Branding Petrov a traitor, he orders his arrest. Petrov panics hearing his name. In a hallway, spotting the president's guards, he whispers to an aide and draws his gun only to be gunned down. The coup collapses. But Fearless steams on. Missile bays open. Roosevelt's captain activates close-in defenses to auto mode, ready to fire. Fearless detects it, shifting to combat status. Aboard Fearless, Luka keeps at Kagansky, sharing his regret over blind orders. He presses. Why's a senior aide guarding me? Because you question Antonov. It clicks for Kagansky. As war looms, Roosevelt's captain won't budge, and Antonov orders 2 cruise missiles loaded. Kagansky bursts in. "Sir, do we have strategic commands go?"
He is lying.
Antonov orders Luka hauled off, but Kagansky demands commands verification. Antonov ignores him, barking for launch codes, threatening Kagansky's arrest. Roosevelt's captain reports to the United States president, who authorizes fire if attacked. Ryan's gut churns, stuck watching. Antonov slots the launch key. Missiles ready. Everyone sweating. Antonov hits the button. Roosevelt counters, firing an interceptor. The first missile shreds United States defenses. A second could end it. "You want war, sir?" He does. On Roosevelt, close-in systems need 4 minutes to reset. The captain, out of time, orders 4 missiles launched. Ryan warns it's the trap they want, but the captain brushes him off, telling him to stand clear. Ryan pins his hopes on Luka. In the White House, Elizabeth begs the president to halt Roosevelt, stressing the attack wasn't Russia's call. On Fearless, Kagansky defies Antonov, urging his crew to stop the illegal order. Antonov interrupts. Kagansky draws. "I swore to protect my country. Treason means death. So does betrayal." Luka and Antonov, both cloaking crimes in righteousness, face off. No one dies today. Tensions ease. Everyone knows war's cost. Kagansky subdues Antonov. Luka yanks the key, hailing Roosevelt. "Roosevelt, you copy." Antonov's detained. The United States president calls the captain. "Have we been hit?" "No, sir. World War III's averted. Nobody wants war except those scheming from corner offices for profit." In the dead of night, a heavily armed squad, guided by remote orders, scales the walls of Nigerian President Udo's residence. They take out every guard in their path and storm the president's room. Before Udo can react, the assassins riddle him with bullets, snap a photo of his body to confirm the kill, and send it to their superiors. Suddenly, the palace guards catch wind of the attack. The 4-man hit team scrambles to escape, clashing fiercely with the security detail. Outnumbered, 3 of the assassins are killed, and 1 is captured alive. The weapons they carried American-made lead Nigeria to suspect the United States orchestrated the hit. Jack Ryan, acting CIA deputy director, gets the news and dives into the investigation, briefing his superiors. From the intel at hand, Ryan suspects that if the United States is tied to this assassination, there's a traitor inside the agency. Digging into Udo's background, Ryan learns the president had no shortage of enemies. After taking office, Udo nationalized Nigeria's resources, earning global fame but crossing powerful corporations with conflicting interests. Ryan's team zeroes in on Econ Ama, a wealthy tycoon and Udo's political rival. Ama's fortune comes from resource extraction, and Udo's policies crushed his business. Whether Ama is the mastermind behind the assassination, though, remains to be proven. Meanwhile, in Mexico, at a lavish party hosted by the Perez drug cartel, a hitman named Chavez arrives with a box. Without a word, he kills Perez, severs his hand, and delivers it to the headquarters of the rival Marquez Yucatan cartel. Chavez, acting on Marquez's orders, eliminates Perez to secure their monopoly over Mexico's drug trade. Recently, Marquez's partner, Cartel, has been plotting with a Myanmar-based trafficking ring to establish a new smuggling route. Cartel, Chavez's cousin, openly shares his plan to expand into Southeast Asia and eventually flood the United States market with drugs. In Myanmar, the leader of the Silver Sen cartel inspects a shipment bound for Marquez, obsessed with maximizing profits. But his second-in-command, Chow Fa, sees a bigger picture. Building alliances and a reliable smuggling route is key to breaking into the United States market. That night, at his casino, Chow Fa checks a secret phone and finds an unread message, a photo of Perez's severed hand. Wasting no time, he books a flight to Mexico to size up Marquez's operation. The next evening, at a Mexican port, Chow Fa meets Cartel, Marquez's sales chief, instead of the boss himself. Out of nowhere, Mexican Coast Guard and a special task force ambush them. A brutal firefight erupts at the docks. In the chaos, Chow Fa and Cartel split up, each fighting to escape. Word of the Mexican shootout reaches Jack Ryan fast. Mexican authorities suspect foreign operatives were involved and they're pointing fingers at the United States. Ryan jumps into the investigation. A quick reminder, former CIA Director Miller was a self-serving schemer who set up secret black ops teams overseas, tasking them with dirty work. This Mexico fiasco has Miller's fingerprints all over it, and Ryan suspects these rogue operatives are his doing. acting on instinct, he cuts off funding for these covert operations. That night, as Ryan steps into his home, Chavez appears out of nowhere, pressing a gun to his head. He demands Ryan restart Project Pluto, a program Ryan's never heard of. Chavez gives him 24 hours to figure it out. Back at CIA headquarters, Ryan digs into Project Pluto, uncovering a file on Chavez. Turns out, Chavez is a CIA operative. Ryan pulls every record he can find, then arranges a meet with Chavez. He tells him Project Pluto is dead, funding's gone, and there's no way to revive it. Ryan presses Chavez about ex-director Miller. Chavez doesn't know much, only that he takes orders from Waltz, a former CIA officer, the hit squad that targeted Nigeria's president. Waltz ran that op, but every mission Chavez carried out was greenlit and bankrolled by Miller. Miller's rap sheet is long, and Ryan wants to expose it all, but some leads are out of reach. He asks Chavez to team up, hoping to uncover Chavez's current mission. They meet at a diner to hash it out. Chavez spills about cartel and Chow Fa. Chow Fa secretly contacted him, revealing that Chavez's every move is controlled by Myanmar's Silver Sen cartel. Even their handler in Washington is on Sen's payroll. Chow Fa's true identity remains a mystery, but he warned Chavez that Sen isn't just trafficking drugs, they're tangled in something far worse. To sabotage a deal between Sen and cartel, Chavez sent his crew to disrupt the Mexican port deal. Ryan and Chavez both want the truth, and the only man with answers is Miller, who's gone off the grid. They have no choice but to track him down. Meanwhile, Chow Fa slips away to Malaysia. His Mexico trip was off the books, and he's covered his tracks with fake evidence. His tip-off to Chavez suggests he might be CIA, or maybe he's in Miller's pocket. Sure enough, that night, Chow Fa calls Miller, demanding to know why the mission tanked. Miller blames Chavez. Mid-conversation, Chavez barges into Miller's hideout. Miller cuts the call short. Chavez threatens him, demanding he spill everything to Ryan. After Chavez leaves, Miller texts Waltz, warning that Ryan's officially onto him. Ryan briefs the president. Based on the evidence, he suspects Miller is a mole for the Silver Sen cartel. Miller used his authority to build secret teams like Chavez's, weaponizing them to eliminate Sen's rivals. Chavez's current mission, codenamed Project Pluto, is part of this scheme. The Silver Sen cartel is partnering with drug lords to run operations far deadlier than smuggling. The Mexican cartel is already carving out a pipeline into the United States, posing a massive security threat. If Sen is planning a terrorist attack on American soil, the stakes couldn't be higher. The CIA's motto is prevent, don't react. Chow Fa, Sen's key operative, is the linchpin. Ryan wants to confront Miller face to face, hoping to flip him and get to Chow Fa to unravel the whole conspiracy. The president shuts down Ryan's plan. Confronting Miller directly would not only put Ryan in the crosshairs but also make others suspect he's tangled up in this mess, boxing him into a corner. Ryan, undeterred, doesn't overthink it. That night, he contacts Miller and sets a meet at a park. Face to face, Ryan cuts to the chase, demanding answers. Miller warns him to back off. The mastermind behind this is so powerful, Ryan can't even fathom their reach. Even Waltz is just a small time pawn. Miller urges Ryan to keep Project Pluto running to save his own skin, but Ryan's dead set on taking down the real culprit. If the puppet master is a CIA higher-up, they'd have access to everything: operations, secrets, even Miller's surveillance. Realizing he's in too deep, Miller panics, races home, and starts packing to disappear. But he's one step too slow. The mastermind sends a hitman to silence him for good. By the time Ryan arrives, Miller's gone cold. The murder proves how dangerous this case is. With Miller dead, Chavez is likely next on the hit list. In Nigeria, the assassination of President Udo sparks chaos. Major cities erupt in riots. With Lagos hit hardest, a group of fanatics wreaks havoc on the streets. Rumors swirl that they're loyal to Ikon Ama, who's gunning to replace the interim president. The relentless violence shatters Nigeria's stability, and the public pins Udo's death on the CIA. Elizabeth Wright, acting CIA director, flies to Lagos to assist the interim president and clear the agency's name. Back with Ryan, Miller's death severs every lead. He pins his hopes on Chow Fa, aiming to flip him as an asset to unmask the mastermind. Before his death, Miller got intel from Chow Fa, and now Chavez is the only one who can reach him. But Miller's murder spooks Chavez, who goes into hiding. Chavez slips into a secret safe house, grabbing cash and guns, but he's a man without a plan. Branded a traitor by the cartel, he's got nowhere to run. Chow Fa's odd behavior hasn't yet tipped off the Silver Sen cartel's boss, but the Mexico shootout has him watching closely. He starts monitoring Chow Fa's every move. When a new shipment arrives, the boss orders Chow Fa to handle it, revealing that Silver Sen is also trafficking humans. Ryan's high-profile role as acting deputy director draws too much attention to move freely. He resigns, handing the job to his trusted friend James Greer. Ryan opts to work in the shadows, despite the president's unease. In Lagos, Elizabeth meets the interim president, only to find Ikon Amma there, swearing he had no hand in Udo's assassination. If it wasn't Amma or the CIA, then who's behind it? The interim president tasks Elizabeth with finding the truth. The Nigerians turn over the lone surviving assassin from Udo's hit squad. Elizabeth finds a phone on him, showing the call was made during the attack. She sends the number to James for analysis. James traces it to a company and heads there to dig deeper, unaware that Waltz is watching from a high window, his eyes glinting with menace. Elsewhere, Ryan's buddy Mike tracks down Chavez in Central California. Ryan races to meet him. Knowing why Ryan's there, Chavez agrees to help but can't reach Chow Fa directly. Instead, he sends a signal and waits for a response. Chavez takes Ryan to Mexico to hunt for Cartel, who's set to meet Chow Fa at a black market hub. Chavez assembles a strike team to hit Cartel's drug lab, luring him out. Sure enough, Cartel rushes to the scene with his crew. Chavez confronts him, demanding the market's location, but Cartel brands him a traitor. Ryan steps in, having Mike snap a photo of the meeting. He threatens Cartel, reveal the market's location, or the photo goes public, with a headline screaming Cartel caught meeting CIA operative. Cornered, Cartel cracks, admitting the market is in Dubrovnik, Croatia, run by Olivsky. Chavez searches Cartel's phone, finding Chow Fa's contact info. First, they need a way into Olivsky's market. The team jets to Croatia, learning Olivsky's market is invite-only. Luckily, Mike secures invitations. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, awaiting James's update, lands back in the United States. She's immediately summoned by Senator Henshaw. Oddly, Henshaw hints she should drop the Nigeria assassination probe, saying it's best left alone. His sudden involvement raises red flags as he more than he seems. Stay tuned. Back with Ryan, Mike learns Olivsky hosts adult parties at the market. He contacts a local madam who controls invitations for girls forced to attend. These women dread going but fear defying Olivsky, a ruthless monster. At first, the madam refuses to help, crossing Olivsky as asking for trouble. But when she learns Ryan's a CIA agent, she agrees, on one condition. After this, Ryan helps her and the girls vanish for good. Ryan seals the deal. That night, with the madam's help, Ryan's team infiltrates the market, a front for an illegal trade hub dealing in military weapons, banned goods, and human trafficking. The attendees are notorious crime lords, including the Silver Sen cartel's boss, who arrives with his crew to deal with Olivsky. He hands over a suitcase containing 5 detonators, likely for triggering bombs. Mike spots the exchange and moves to stop it but gets nabbed. Olivsky drags him to a secret room for interrogation. Ryan and Chavez, hearing the commotion through comms, take out the guards, storm and capture Olivsky, and seize the suitcase. Chavez checks the cameras. Olivsky's goons are closing in. They need to bolt. Ryan grills Olivsky about the detonator's purpose, but he stays silent, taunting that they'll never escape. Mike, fed up, shoots Olivsky dead. Chavez snaps a photo of the body, and they leap out a window, fleeing through a back alley. Olivsky's men catch up, forcing the team to jump from a height into the water below, narrowly escaping. Once safe, Chavez sends Chow Fa the photo of Olivsky's corpse. Could this be the signal? As Ryan's team operates, James's investigation hits a breakthrough until Waltz ambushes him. James takes a knife wound but, drawing on his military training, wrests the blade and stabs Waltz back. He flees to a bridge, jumps into the river, and barely drags himself ashore before passing out. Awakening in a hospital, James orders his team to analyze the blood on the knife to ID his attacker. Chow Fa sees the photo and responds, sending Chavez a location. Ryan's team heads to Myanmar, splitting up to cover ground. Mike goes to Chow Fa's casino to meet him, arranging a rendezvous in an hour. Meanwhile, the WHO sends a delegation to Myanmar to aid children in impoverished areas, invited by a local philanthropist named Zayara. Notably, the delegate is Kathy, Ryan's girlfriend. Zayara's true identity is far from simple. Stay tuned to find out who she really is. Chow Fa meets Ryan, spotting the 5 detonators. He reveals the casino's safe holds even more. Ryan demands to know what the detonators are wired to. Chow Fa's chilling reply, "They can link to anything, anywhere, depending on the user's intent." Handing over a keycard, Chow Fa urges Ryan's team to infiltrate the casino and steal the devices. He briefs them on the security system and drops a bombshell, Kathis in Myanmar. Zyara, the mastermind behind it all, lured Kathy here to bait Ryan. Chow Fa begs Ryan to stay calm, Kathis a hostage to control him, but as long as Ryan's alive, she's safe. Chow Fa, one of Zayara's underlings, is desperate to break free from the organization for his wife and child's sake. That's why he's risking everything to help Ryan. With Chow Fa's help, Ryan's team breaches the casino, blowing out the power grid. Chow Fa sabotages the security system, ensuring only their keycard opens the doors. Ryan and Chavez slip into the safe room, where walls are lined with detonators. Meanwhile, Mike takes a helicopter to the coordinates Chow Fa provided to rescue Kathy. Ryan stages a ploy, taking Chow Fa hostage and filming a video for Zyara, demanding she bring Kathy or he'll kill Chow Fa and destroy the detonators. The devices are Zayara's life's work, so she reluctantly agrees. But as she steps out, Mike's helicopter blocks her path, forcing her back inside. In the chaos, Kathy breaks free from her restraints and scrambles onto the chopper. Once she's safe, Ryan's team prepares to pull out. But then, Chow Fa gets a call from his wife. The Silver Sen cartel's boss has surrounded their home, his cover's blown. Chow Fa races to his house, insisting Ryan's team follow since critical documents on the organization are hidden there. Ryan's reluctant but goes along. Arriving, Chow Fa finds his family unharmed and hurries to get them out. Suddenly, gunfire erupts. Chow Fa takes a bullet and collapses. The shooter, the Silver Sen boss. Knowing he's done for, Chow Fa entrusts Ryan with getting his wife and child to safety while he holds the line. Ryan grabs the documents and speeds off with Chow Fa's family. Moments later, the cartel boss confronts Chow Fa, who triggers a detonator. A massive explosion rips through the house and the casino's safe, killing the boss instantly. Ryan and Chavez reach the airport, but Zayara's goons catch up. The two stay behind to buy time for Chow Fa's family to escape. Oddly, the enemy convoy is still far off. Boarding the plane could have worked, yet Ryan chooses to stand and fight. At the critical moment, Mike swoops in with the chopper, dropping bombs to wipe out the enemy's vanguard, covering the plane's takeoff. Ryan and Chavez leap onto the helicopter, escaping the scene. Tragically, the plane barely gets far before running out of fuel. Zayara's goons catch up, sparking a ferocious firefight on the shore. At the same time, James tracks down Waltz and apprehends him. Shockingly, Waltz's computer screen shows Ryan's team in combat, suggesting Zyara is his boss. A speedboat suddenly appears behind Ryan. Moments later, the terrorists on the cliffs retreat. As Ryan approaches the shore, he's ambushed and kidnapped. He wakes up strung up in a warehouse. Luckily, Chavez and Mike escape, regrouping to resupply and plan Ryan's rescue. Kathy safely returns to the United States, carrying the detonators meant for a deal and a USB from Chow Fa. She hands them to James, who interrogates Waltz about the detonators, demanding to know where the bombs are planted. Waltz refuses to talk, even under threat of death. The USB contains cryptic symbols, possibly bomb locations, but James needs time to decode them. Zyara grills Ryan, desperate to learn what Chow Fa told him. Ryan stays silent, enduring brutal torture. Meanwhile, guided by Mike, Chavez infiltrates the prison where Kathy was held. Believing Ryan's there, Mike hunts for another helicopter for backup. Chavez locates Ryan, mowing down Zayara's men. He corners Zyara, shoots her dead, and frees Ryan, getting them both back to the United States. Ryan decodes Chow Fa's clues, uncovering a smuggling route from Myanmar to the United States. The assassination of Nigeria's president wasn't about politics, it was to secure a port for trafficking. That port was part of Udo's nationalization plan. If the government controlled it, Zayara's operation would collapse, so they killed him. Ryan learns a shipment is en route to the United States. Already at the border, he races to intercept it. 5 brand new trucks, approved by a high-ranking United States official under the guise of household goods. The approver is the mastermind. The driver senses trouble, opens fire, and floors it to breach the border checkpoint. Chaos erupts. Police shoot the driver dead, barely regaining control, but his accomplices fight on outside the border. Facing elite SWAT teams, they're quickly wiped out. Ryan uses the detonators to locate bombs rigged in the trucks, disarming them one by one. In the end, the puppet master in the United States government is exposed. Senator Henshaw, To climb the political ladder, Henshaw partnered with terrorist Zyara, endangering national security. He recruited Miller and Walters as his enforcers for dirty work. Zyara built the drug pipeline, but Henshaw ultimately pays for his crimes. Season 4 of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan wraps here. That's the full story across 4 seasons. What did you think? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for following along. See you next time.